Now to the fight against ISIS and Congress approving President Obama's plan to arm and train the Syrian rebels if we can find them, instead of putting American combat troops on the ground. His top generals have expressed their concern already, many of them. But again, last night the president refused to budge.
The American forces that have been deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission. Their mission is to advise and assist our partners on the ground.
So, do the generals think that will work? Joining me right now, three of them: Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, Major General Bob Skaz, Lieutenant General Richard Newton. Welcome to all of you generals, generally speaking. General McInerney, let's start. General Dempsey, General Odierno, General Mattis, and General Zinni all have one thing in common. They've all directly and indirectly questioned the president's battle plan. Are you one to question?
Absolutely. The president has announced a degrade and destroy. We're in the irritate phase right now. We are not using the strength and the power that we have.
180 airstrikes.
Yeah, in a month, 4 a day. Look, these are pinpricks. This is all it is doing is immunizing the ISIS forces where we could be destroying them. Remember, Saddam Hussein had 600,000 troops in 40 days of an air campaign and 100 hours of a ground campaign, destroyed. Why are we waiting?
Right, and it's been 2 weeks since the president's speech, General Scales.
It's been 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks he's done nothing. Is this a strategy? No. Look, you don't win wars through incrementalism. You don't win wars with a single dimension. You don't win wars by telegraphing your punches and telling your enemy what you're not going to do. No, this is ultimately going to have to be resolved with a whole combination of things. And oh, by the way, you don't win wars by relying on unreliable allies. This eventually will turn into a campaign that will have land forces on the ground. It's inevitable, and as long as the enemy has a vote, this campaign is going to increase, right, and we're going to see more and more land forces.
Here's my we need the land forces, but this is a Muslim problem. This is not a U.S. problem. They have got to stand up. Where are the Turks? Where are the Iraqis? The Kurds are there. Where are the Saudis? This is their problem. Radical Islam, they must solve it.
But right now, we need to make sure we've got the right force. It's the right time.
We all agree.
And the right place.
Absolutely.
And so it's not an either-or situation in terms of air or ground. It's bringing to bear all capabilities that the United States
and right now
can bring on board.
Right. After 4 decades in the military, General Mad Dog Mattis spoke up yesterday because Congress wants to know, what do you think of our battle plan? Listen.
If the international community bands together and goes after this in a responsible way with clearly articulated political end states, we can whip this enemy. I still would not take any element of America's power off the table, and that's not just military, but it certainly includes the best military in the world.
So but the president's saying, I'm going to use Iraqis to fight in Iraq. I'm going to use the Syrian Free Army that takes a year to train to fight in Syria. And he has to sign off on any Syrian airstrike, General.
Well, again, this is, the president is getting, in my view, the best military advice. General Dempsey, we heard him in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee. We've had the combatant commander, General Lloyd Austin from Central Command. So I'm confident in the current senior military leadership getting, whether or not he adheres to that advice or he listens to that advice.
But it's already not listening, because Lloyd Austin, who also said 25,000 troops in 2011, just let all leave, and he was ignored. He also asked to put special forces in with the Peshmerga to call in airstrikes, and he was rejected there, General Scales.
Exactly right. And look, we're not talking about armored divisions rolling from Kuwait into Iraq. We're talking about eyes on the ground, direct action by highly trained special forces units who are able to increase the accuracy of air power and avoid collateral damage. Look, this is a McChrystal method. We've been doing this for 25 years. We know how to do it, but you never go to war with one hand tied behind you, because all that does is play to the equities of the enemy.
But we've got both hands tied behind us. The Syrian forces they're looking at, the Free Syrian Army, from the latest inputs I got Monday, are the wrong Free Syrian Army troops.
What do you mean?
Well, they have been vetted. They asked them, are you radical Islamists? And they said no. The wrong vetting. I talked to the people that are over there. General Paul Valley went to Aleppo twice. And the people that were there and supporting him when he went over there, protecting him, We have got the wrong Free Syrian Army.
Well, that's huge news. We're going to pick up the wrong guys and bring them to Saudi Arabia and train them, arm them, and send them back. Well, here's the other thing that bothers me, and I heard it the most yesterday. The average American, I'm walking on the street, they said, we spend $200, $300 million training the Iraqi troops. We give them the best armament, the best equipment, the best bases, and they turned and ran. What makes you think in 1 year we're going to train a bunch of Syrians to do the same thing, and you say we got the wrong guys, General Newton?
Well, I believe so, but let's go back to the central point on top of the conversation. That is, first off, you know, when you take any tool off the table, you know, and if that may be to provide comfort to some segment of the American population, fine, but it also provides comfort to the enemy, number one. Secondly, the point is that it then perhaps makes our allies uncomfortable.
Yep.
And so we need to keep thinking about the strategic aspect of this. And so the challenge is that, as General McInerney says, if you take one or two hands behind your back, and then you limit ourselves. Right. But again,
the Turks, we need to get the Turks involved and the others involved. And what it's going to do is it's going to expose the Turkish leadership as Muslim Brotherhood, supporting Hamas, supporting Hezbollah. We need to out these people and say, you're the ones that must defeat radical Islam, not America.
But if you're going to rely on your allies to do your fighting for you, you want somebody else to do your dying for you, these are very thin reeds and very unreliable allies.
Well, and they're very stretched out. They got 30,000, hundreds of miles, size of Maryland. That's their. It's getting a lot harder for them from now, and we should start letting them know they're in for a real fight. I can't thank you enough, generals, for coming in. General Newton, Scales, and McInerney. Thanks so much.
You get it, Brian.
All right, thank you very much.